Congresswoman. Thanks for taking some time. Are you shocked to be back in Dallas right now?
A day early, right? Well, you know, when Republicans are scared of Epstein, and that's what happens. We get sent home because they're too afraid to work.
Congress, y'all were sent home early. There's been some speculation about why. Yeah. What are you most concerned about right now? Is it the Epstein Files or is it your congressional district?
I'm not concerned about the Epstein Files. I think they should be released. I think it's hilarious that Republicans are caught scared, you know, because they are paying the piper for all the conspiracy theories they've been touting to win elections. And now when push comes to shove, they're not doing what they told their constituents they would do, which is release the Epstein Files. So here they are. But, you know, redistricting is obviously much more significant and important than that. It's about the future of our democracy, whether or not we're going to allow corrupt politicians to steal elections from folks. And that's kind of where we are.
Democrats have kind of been in unison criticizing this, and some have been critical, saying Republicans aren't really talking a lot about this, the ones that are here in Texas. Mm-hmm. Why do you think redistricting is on the table right now in this special session?
Because Trump knows he's going to lose an election. You know, he passed unbelievable amounts of legislation designed to benefit his billionaire friends at the great peril to the American people, at great harm to the American people. And he knows that, and his poll numbers know it. They are all underwater. No one approves of all these Medicaid cuts. Nobody approves of making people go hungry, cut and snap. Nobody approves of masked, unidentified men jumping out of moving cars, snatching up U.S. citizens and putting them in detention. Nobody approves of all that. And so what do when you know you're going to lose an election? Because if he loses the election in 26, what happens? Democrats have the gavels. We can issue subpoenas. We can hold his administration to account. And he will do whatever he can to avoid that accountability. So he's pushing redistricting mid-decade, to be able to rig these elections, have politicians pick their voters, not voters pick their politicians. And that's just wrong to me.
When I talked to Governor Abbott this week, I asked him why did he add it. He cited the courts, saying the courts had issues with some of the districts. What would be your response to the governor talking about the courts?
There's been no court that has ruled Texas maps are inappropriate. Not a single court has made that ruling. There's a lawsuit about it, and there's a lawsuit in El Paso, and what's happened in that lawsuit is all the Republicans who were involved in redistricting in the state level, in the Senate, in the House, in the governor's office, they've all sworn testimony, signed affidavits, have repeatedly said over and over and over, these maps were race neutral, they're great maps, they're awesome maps, they're wonderful maps, there's nothing wrong with the maps, until Trump says, I need 5 seats. Now, mysteriously, all that sworn testimony, all that evidence that says these maps are great, doesn't count anymore.
Are you concerned that your district specifically, I mean, it was a district that was once a red seat. I know it has changed a little geographically. Are you concerned that your district in particular could be changed?
Well, you know, I think all the districts are on play. And sure, yes, there's a lot of rumor that Texas 32 is one of the districts that is going to be, you know, kind of chopped up. You know, it's terrible for the voters of our district. I represent a lot of Democrats. You know, I won the general election by 24 points. And I have a coalition seat. I have a lot of folks that want to be able to elect their member of Congress. And so this is going to try to dilute their vote. But as to me personally, you know, what happens to me is irrelevant. What the important part is the future of our democracy. What kind of a republic are we? Are we going to have fair and free elections? Are we going to let the people elect their elected representatives that represent their common interest, and or not?
Republicans, some, including the governor, have said that some Democrat states, Gavin Newsom, are thinking about doing the same thing just on the Democrat side. Right. Do you approve of that?
I do. I think this is a time in our country where Democrats have to fight with the same rules. You know, I think all the states should have independent redistricting commissions. But if we're not going to do that, then we all need to have partisan redistricting. We all need to play by the same rules, whatever the rules are. But we can't have Democrat states handcuffing themselves politically because red states won't do it. So I am absolutely supportive of independent redistricting commissions across the country in every state. But absent that, then I think we got to bring it all to the same fight. We got to be in the same arena. And if Republicans are going to play partisan redistricting, Democrats should too.
My last question. I know you're going to be at the hearing on Monday in Arlington. There's a hearing today as of this taping. There will be a hearing Saturday in Houston, and then the third one in Arlington. Is that just going through the motions? It seems like they're trying to hear the will of the people. Could that sway people's lawmakers' opinion?
You know, they haven't released a map. So how do you have a full hearing without a map to really testify as to the consequences of that particular map? They have refused to release their plans thus far. I personally think that, you know, a lot of the Republican members of Congress, they don't want this. They're very unhappy about this. And I think it was intentional by the administration and those powers that be to release the maps after Congress left. They didn't want everybody together, huddling up, coming up with a strategy to try to defeat it. I think the hearings would be much more productive, much more constitutional, much more legal, much more appropriate if they were actually on the proposed maps so that people could really weigh in on the consequences of those maps. But yeah, I'm going to be there. I'm going to testify. I'm going to testify about this process, how inappropriate it is, and we should do it at the census. Because you have to remember, we're drawing maps based on 2020 census data. 2.5 million people have moved to Texas. Our population since then. These maps are not going to be accurate. They're not going to be an accurate reflection of the census, an accurate reflection of the data, and that's what it's all supposed to be. The whole point is to, unfortunately, Greg Abbott a Texan, has been in the knee to a New Yorker, and that's not okay.